You're inside the press box. Christian FM Sports presents Inside the Press Box, where we discuss all sports from our favorite high school team to college and pro. Here's your hosts, Paul Tipton and Gary Paris.
Hey, Vero Nation. Thanks for joining us inside the press box. Along with Gary Paris, I'm Paul Tipton. As we head towards week 3 of high school football, and we'll talk about Homestead, the next opponent for Vero Beach. But before we do that, we got to talk about our latest opponent, and that was Buchholz that came to the Citrus Bowl on Friday night. And it was a dogfight all the way to the end. And in the end, Vero Beach ends up losing the ball game 38-23. Hard-fought battle, GP.
We knew Buchholz was going to be a really competitive game, Paul. They came in, they had played in the Final Four 4 years in a row. Lost in the finals last year to Lakeland by 1 point. That just tells you the quality of that team. And we knew they had some talent. They got a quarterback that last year that was a sophomore, Johnson, and he threw for close to 3,000 yards. And then you know he's going to come in. He's got talent. He had talent all around him with running backs, wide receivers, an offensive line. It's a young team, but has built. They have reloaded for this year. After losing that 1 point to Lakeland, they're now in a position to move forward. We knew they were going to be good. We played with them as well as we could through 3 quarters of this game. But turnovers, field position became like a chess match. We gave them in the second half 3 short porches to score in the second half, and they capitalized on all of our turnovers, a short punt. You can't give a team that kind of field position and expect them not as good as they are and as disciplined as they are. They went down the field and they scored. They beat us 38-21, and we were 23.
23.
Yeah, 23. And we were sitting there with a lead at 17-10 at halftime. Somewhere during the third period, we were up 23-17. Mm-hmm. And then they came back and they scored three touchdowns to take it to 38 to 23. So tough game. We learned a lot from it, Paul. We played 2 good teams. We lost a close battle to a Galley, and we lost to a very, very good team. Maybe, and I'm going to say this with respect to all our other opponents, I don't know how Booker T. Washington's a good team. Homestead's a good team. And that may be one of the best teams we play all year.
I don't disagree. I think it's, they're a solid team, and they made the most. They capitalized on our mistakes. And I think we learned a valuable lesson in this. I mean, this going in, you got to always take care of the football. But I think in this particular game, you can see the difference. I mean, 17 points off of the 5 turnovers that we had. They were able to capitalize. So, you can play the if game all you want. But, I mean, if you take those turnovers away, if you take half those turnovers away, that's a win for Vero Beach.
Absolutely. And and you have to, but the turnovers are part of a game.
Right.
Field positions, part of a game. I mean, you shank a punt that only goes about 10 yards or so, and you give them field position on the 26-yard line going in, that's asking for trouble. And it was tough. Our defense, we ran 50 plays. They ran 63 plays. But it seemed like the second half, they ran most of their plays. And our defense stayed on the field a lot in the second half. You can look over there and see that they were tired. They were trying to get substitutions in there, rotating, but you have your set front that it works pretty good for you. You'd like to keep them in there as many plays as you possibly can. The problem was we had too many short possessions. We had 13 possessions, and we ran 50 plays.
Mm-hmm.
You do the math. It's not very pretty when you start doing it like that. It's almost four plays possession, and you're gonna wear your defense out.
Yeah, and I think the type of plays that were run, particularly by Buchholz in the second half, where they really wanted to go with that run game. It's a punishing type of play.
Yes.
That beats you down. I guess a better way to say it in boxing terms would be body blows.
That's a good analogy. You're right. What they did, they attacked the middle, they attacked the edges, they attacked you everywhere they could. They pounded that ball up and up and up and into you. Every time you look around, they were running the ball. And one of the things you remember, you and I talked about at halftime, and I said, if I was Buchholz right now, I saw the pattern of their game, and I said I thought they would probably give us a heavy dose of run. I didn't know it was going to be that good the second half. They really ran the ball well. They had one great pass. They didn't throw a lot of passes, but he hit that wide receiver of theirs on a deep post, and he was off to the races. He dropped one earlier in the first half. He caught it in the second half. And, again, the game had started turning around. Even though we were ahead, you could see the momentum heading toward Gainesville.
No doubt about it. And, like you said, I mean, breaks that happened in the first half that went towards Vero seemed to be there were breaks more going towards Buchholz in the second half. Now, some of you can say, well, they made breaks go their way, and that might be true. Bottom line is things that, we maybe dodged a bullet in the first half, we weren't able to dodge in the second half. So now you got to think about, okay, how do we fix some of these problems? What do you do when you go into practice this week? How do you address those things, and how do you correct those mistakes?
Well, the first thing I would do if I was Kendrick Willis, your line coach, find out how my linemen are. We lost 2 starters. I mean, you lose 2 starters that you depend on, and you lose 2 of them, and that means you're bringing in some backups that haven't had to play reps.
True.
And they're not as good as the guys up front. Some, because they would be there if they were as good or better. But it's not that they're bad. It's just that they got in a game situation where they didn't have the feel for the game.
Right.
And you could see we could not run the ball. I mean, we had I'm trying to think of 20 rushes for 63 yards?
Yeah.
20 rushes for 63 yards. And our running back got hurt. Lanceford took a shot in the thigh or the knee, and he ran the ball twice for 20 yards. And then you had you left it up to the sophomore there,
Young.
He ran 7 times for 43 yards. So I mean, they gave when they got the ball, they ran pretty good, but unfortunately we were running behind in the second half a lot. And you were too many short series, too many 3s and outs or penalties. We had that grounding penalty that hurt. Now in high school, you can throw the ball, but you got to be outside the pocket.
Right.
You can't just pick it and throw it into the stands. And I think that's something you learn. And once you're outside the pocket, you don't have to have a receiver. Then you just got to get it above the front of the line of scrimmage. That penalty hurt. Then right after that we had a 10-yard punt, and that hurt. That gave them that field position at the 26-yard line. I felt that was a big series that we were, we didn't. That hurt us.
Yeah, well, in that sequence there, Gary. I mean, you're thinking interception that possibly could have been a huge return, maybe a touchdown. Turns out not. Then you have that sequence of events with the bad or the penalty, then the bad snap, or not the bad snap, but the bad punt, set them up on a short porch. They're able to take the lead at that point. And that's late in the fourth quarter.
You're right. And again, passing-wise, the young quarterback, Mons, was 20 of 30, 170 yards. He threw for 1 touchdown. That was to Jacobs, was a really nice throw, nice catch in there for him, both of them. but he had 3 interceptions and 2 fumbles, 5 turnovers.
Yeah.
5 turnovers out of your 13 possessions that you turned the ball over. And then you had that one I call that when you had that intentional grounding and you punted. That's almost like a turnover right there.
Yeah, that is true, yeah.
So it's like having 6 turnovers out of your 13 possessions, and that's what's going to keep you from winning a ball game.
Certainly. All right, so Vero's 0-2. They've got a chance to get their first win on Friday night. Homestead also coming in here 0-2. They've played some tough opponents as well. So you got 2 programs that are looking to get their first win of the season, Gary.
Fighting hard for it. Their loss as Homestead was 14-10 to Palmetto, who is 1-0 right now. And South Dade beat them 14-7. South Dade is 1-1. The team they lost to was Booker T. Washington, 28-6. So you got a team that's this is a good team, Paul.
Mm-hmm.
Homestead last year finished number 2 in the class. They lost to Lakeland. They lost to St. Thomas Aquinas High School 31-28.
Wow.
31-28. The year before, they lost to them in the final, 38-21. I mean, they're that good a team. They've made it to the finals every year. This year, I'm not sure if they're just like they've lost some talent. Those guys have moved on. They're in that position of trying to rebuild their team. But 14-10 is a close game. 14-7 is a close game.
Yeah.
So you better be ready to play another good opponent.
So what do you think right now, Gary? I mean, what's the mindset of the Fighting Indians right now?
Survive right now is that you've got to get you don't know the situation with your 2 linemen. If they're out, if they're going to be out, then that means you've got to get 2 more guys really ready, get a lot of reps to try to work with them. Mm-hmm. You got to get your quarterback. He was pressured. They blitzed him. They went after him on purpose. I really think that
sure, why not?
I would too. I would try to make him look like a freshman out there. And but he still under pressure. He still looked cool, calm, and collective. The only time he ever got the 2 fumbles, he was scrambling, and he holds the ball like he wants to throw it, and when he put his arm up to throw, the ball was knocked from behind twice out of his hands. So he was trying to make something and not take sacks and all. He's good. He's still, he only had 170 yards. He had 3 interceptions, 2 fumbles, and he missed an opportunity in the end zone where he threw a ball the wrong place. He knew it. Mm-hmm. The receiver was open, and this team's got to bounce back now, and they've got to do their job. Everybody's got to do their job. You can't afford drop balls. You can't. They're going to be part of a game, but you've got to secure the ball. You've got to take the momentum, and you're playing a good physical team, so you got to get physical. I think the defense is going to have to start putting some pressure. I think that Bill Mata's going to have to really do some run blitzes. He's going to have to stunt. There was a play where the defense missed assignment. You saw where the quarterback just kind of faked it and just ran on in, and nobody touched them.
Yeah,
because they had a jam up the middle, so that makes your 2 outside linebackers are responsible for the edge.
Yeah.
And they weren't there. And that the quarterback was just wanted the first down. He ended up getting a touchdown because we did not do our assignment. Those are things that you got to work on, Paul. You've got to improve. You take from a loss, you learn a lot of things from a loss. Mm-hmm. You learn the quality of your team, the character of your team. Do they have that fight still in them? And knowing Lenny Jankowski, and they will, and so will Bill Mata as defensive coordinator. I think the fight's there. I think they just got to get on track now and make this a 8-game winning streak instead of a 2-game losing streak for the rest of the season. That should be their goal now. Is to win this game, and let's go 1 game at a time. Let's beat Homestead.
Okay.
Don't even think about who's on the schedule the week after, but let's beat Homestead, and that's what we need to do.
All right, Coach, put me in. I'm ready to play. All right. Well, that's some thoughts from both the loss on last Friday night and how we get set for this Friday night when we take on Homestead at the Citrus Bowl. Game time, of course, 7 o'clock. Our coverage will begin with Countdown to Kickoff, presented by Caps Pizza. That's at 6 p.m. And as always, go Indians.
Thanks for joining us inside the press box. For more, go to ChristianFM.com.